Betrayal in the palace of King Khufu. Once upon a time, in the distant age, in days long forgotten and buried by the ages, in a time when the gods lived inside stone, when a single word could kill faster than a blade, when the Nile carried the secrets of the dead in its waters, and the sands remembered what tongues and ears forgot. In those days, in that great and mighty palace, whose foundations pressed upon the neck of the sky, in the palace of the eternal Pharaoh, the greatest of all kings, Khufu, there occurred an event, buried beneath 2,530 years of silence, an event that held a love that was forbidden, a betrayal that was hidden, and a sorcery known only to the high priests. Do you dare to listen? Eternal Egypt and the throne of Khufu. Know this, noble listener, the world has never witnessed a glory like that of ancient Egypt, and the earth has never known a king like Khufu. In power, in faith, in absolute dominion, Khufu, whom the Greeks called Cheops, was the son of the sun and the chosen heir of the god Ra upon the earth. His palace in sacred Giza stretched wide, as if woven by the gods themselves, from gold, from fine linen, and from silver as white as moonlight. In that palace, ministers competed for favor, as stars compete on a desert night, and the highest among them in rank, the most powerful in standing, was the first minister and high priest, Westcar, a man whose knowledge filled the earth. The years themselves had aged beneath the weight of his wisdom. He knew the name of every star in the sky. He could read what was hidden inside the hearts of men and spirits. But he, oh what a fate, did not know what was happening behind the walls of his own home. Nefertari, the poison rose, the minister's wife. Nefertari was like a spirit fallen from paradise, one who had forgotten the way back. Her face was like the silver of the moon. Her eyes were like two quiet lakes of sorrow, sorrow that knew no rest. She lived in a great palace, beautiful as a prison, adorned with carvings and color. Westcar loved her, or believed he loved her, with the love of a proud man who owns but never reaches out his hand. Nefertari would sit on her balcony on those long and heavy nights, heavy as stone, staring at the Nile, watching it flow and laugh, while she could not run, could not fly, could not dare, until that cursed day arrived, the day of the beginning, the day of the end, and the candle that stood in the wind. Ra-Hotep was a young man from Memphis. He owned nothing but his reckless youth and his ignorant heart. He was not a prince. He was not a priest, but his eyes carried a fire, one that neither water nor safety could extinguish. He saw her one day from a distance, as she looked out from the balcony overlooking the sacred lake, and his heart fell from his chest. Before his mind could stop it, before reason could warn him, before sense could speak, Nefertari sent him costly garments and gifts that no poor man could ever afford. A trusted servant girl carried their words between them, hidden in the folds of night, for fear of scandal, for fear of ruin. And one day, when the minister was seated before the great king, Ra-Hotep entered through the private back door. He sat in the chamber by the sacred lake, with the one he loved, the one who had stolen his reason away. They drank from a forbidden cup. They laughed with a voice heard only by the Nile, the stars, and destiny. But the loyal overseer was watching, was listening, was waiting, the moment when time stood still. When Westcar returned from the king's council, the loyal overseer stood before him, trembling like a reed in the wind, and said in a voice barely heard, "My lord, your wife, she spent the day in the chamber by the lake, with that man, the one you know." The minister fell silent, a silence as if all of time had held its breath in that heavy moment. He did not weep, he did not cry out. No tears fell as they fall from the eyes of the heartbroken. But something died inside him in that moment, and something else was born, something more terrifying, something with greater power. Vengeance was born. Westcar walked to his secret chamber, the chamber that no living soul had ever entered, the chamber guarded by the spells of ancestors and the inscriptions of high priests. He opened a box of sandalwood, carved with gold and ivory, and the longest night in the history of King Khufu's palace began. The spell of the golden crocodile. Westcar reached in a box and drew out a block of yellow wax, the wax used only on the nights of sacred ritual, an ancient prayer. He sat in a silence, like the silence of tombs, like the silence of shrines, like wandering souls in the dark, and his fingers began to move, those fingers that had carved sacred spells and turned the pages of sorcery in the cosmos. They began to carve, to shape, to form, until from that wax, the image of a crocodile emerged, a crocodile with eyes of onyx stone and teeth carved like a cutting blade that knew no mercy and no tenderness. Then the minister rose to his feet. He raised the wax crocodile in both hands toward the sky and began to chant in a voice that cracked like thunder. and rolled like the waves of the Nile in the fury of the flood. Usobeki, lord of the raging waters and the fearsome lakes, I place this wax into your hands. Make it flesh and bone and blood and teeth. Take from me the one who took from me, and have no mercy on a heart that betrayed its trust. At dawn the next day, when Hotep descended to the sacred lake to swim, bare of fear, bare of sorrow, Weba stood on the shore from afar, watching, waiting. Then he cast the small wax crocodile into the waters of the sacred lake. And in the moment that the wax touched the water, time reversed. The air turned yellow. The small crocodile began to grow, and grow, and grow, until from the water rose a massive beast, with eyes that glowed like two embers in the darkest night. The crocodile, brought to life by the priest's sorcery, struck Hotep, as fate strikes those who make light of trust. Hotep cried a cry that no human ever heard again after that day. The water swallowed him. It swallowed his cry. It swallowed his memory. It swallowed his youth. It swallowed his dreams, and his sorrows, and his longing. Well, the crocodile returned to the shore. Weba extended his hand, and the crocodile became again a small white candle, cold as death, cold as pain, cold as shame, before the throne of Khufu. The next day, Weba brought his wife Nefertari before the throne of the great King Khufu. He told him everything, with a tongue that did not tremble, that did not stumble, that knew no weakness, no softness, no compassion. Nefertari stood like a stone statue. She did not weep, she did not cry out, but her eyes said what words could not carry. And King Khufu, son of Ra, and his shadow upon the earth, issued his eternal judgment, from which there was no return. Let the crocodile remain in the Nile for 7 days, and let the treacherous wife be burned by a fire that knows no mercy. And what the king had commanded was done. The secret the papyrus did not tell. This is what the papyrus recorded. This is what the scribes wrote down. This is what the eye of time witnessed. But there is something the papyrus did not say, something the scribes did not write, something the storytellers did not dare to speak. Who was the servant girl who opened the back door for Hotep? Was she paid? Was she afraid? Or was she the very one who told the overseer everything? And the wax crocodile? Did it truly return to wax when Hotep died? Or does it still swim in the depths of the Nile, waiting for those who make light of loyalty and trust? And Weba, that great and mighty priest, did he truly love Nefertari? Or was his sorcery vengeance for something else entirely? A deeper secret, an older wound, a pride that could not bear humiliation. What the stones say, this is not a legend born in a poet's imagination. This is not a tale from someone's dreams. This is a story found by the British scholar Henry Westcar in an ancient papyrus, dating back to before recorded time. A papyrus that survived the sands and the ages for 2,500 years and more. It now rests inside the Berlin Museum, preserving what even gold cannot hold. And if you were to ask the Great Pyramid, silent since eternity, about this event, it would not answer you with words. It would answer you with a silence, deeper than the sea and heavier than time. Because some secrets are not spoken, they are lived. And some hearts do not love, they burn. And some crocodiles do not sleep,